Just a little pre here because they just introduced the LF Zenkai. It's going to happen. I mentioned in this video, like, whatever happens to those LF Zenkai doesn't really matter too much, but, like, it still matters, right? It's like a 9 out of 10 or like a 9.5 if they mess this up or succeed with this. LF Goku Bardock are getting their Zenkai, so it will be interesting. Again, we shall see what they do within them. Shallot's getting a buff, like I mentioned in this video, so we will see how that does impact him. I think there's some game original thing that's going on there, I believe support or something he's getting added to his kit, so hey, let's see if that duo works. I guess every part 2 of Annie's going to be a Shallot buff because they did this last year within the equip for him, and now he's just getting an overall legitimate buff from the game, so let's see how it cooks and enjoy the video. Alright, so in this one I want to discuss Dragon Ball Legends 8th Anniversary Part 1. You know, this thing is coming to a conclusion very soon with this being the new update that is arriving just a few days here, actually in just a number of days of, you know, the LF Zenkai and now the Shallot buff that's going to happen, that's confirmed. So it's nice to see that we're getting stuff on the off weeks and the dead weeks, and that's kind of the whole point. This entire part 1 has been damn near perfect. I'll point out the little negatives that exist, you know, within this. This guy sucks. He could have been much better. He doesn't need to be God, but like I'm talking like Evil Boo, Shin, those who dropped during 6th tier, that's part 1 and part 2, 1%, and they were very good. You know, Evil Boo was run on Majbu Saga, even if that wasn't the most lovely thing to fight, it was still a very strong team, one of the best teams in the game. Shin was very good to run as well, being, you know, what he is against, you know, those cards that you're going to have obnoxious, and he's going to seal them, and then blah, blah, blah. Things were just going in a great mannerism within 1%. So, Paragus sucks. What are you going to do? Happens. But everything else, damn near, is actually perfect. The thing I like the most that was usually a negative that Legends does, and now it's actually a positive because of the way they did it this time, is they usually like to neuter PO units within, you know, big celebrations, right? It's like the big celebration happens, the previous celebration was PO, then the big PO unit just kind of dies down, falls off cliff, especially by part 2, but within part 1, they're much less used than anything else. And it really is just like, that's tough, that's a bad day. But the only one they've really hurt right now, and it's not a PO unit actually, is this guy. And I would say Legend Bardock is giving you more boring and then a more fun meta, because the entire premise of him is you benefit from losing, right? You're going to have a better safety mechanism and better safety mechanic because you were losing, so you're getting benefited of, well, now you can't die because you were already playing bad, which is a bad design, but letting Legend Rose, you know, be thriving and vibing and still doing pretty well, though being a PO unit, is a very nice thing because he incentivizes gameplay. You really have to use cards, you have to click stuff, you have to play to get him to be his more idealistic self and get his neutrals and get his gauges and get his blah, 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 blah. So a negative in one of to hurt an old unit, sure, but not a negative in such a high degree because it usually does so much more negative impact to hurt such past units. So there's damn near nothing bad. Even within that, it's like, yeah, Bardock got hurt, but Trunks is still vibing enough. Buuhan you still see on top 10 list. Vegito is still having a decent C time. You could even argue maybe some bullshit stuff like Mini Vegeta could do a little bit more value because there's so much endurance. He can do like a rush value there. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan isn't the worst thing ever. You have obviously older units within tier boost. This goes to more positive points of, you know, Janemba's being in top 10 talks within this part 1 celebration. 13 is moving different within this part 1 because of tier boost. And yes, this is just a circumstantial thing, but within a part 1, it's all circumstantial, right? I'm here to glaze part 1 of 8th Annie. I'm not here to talk about anything else. I can't predict part 2 and part 3. Last year, part 2, it got a bit dicey within, you know, part 1. Okay, Evo might suck, but you're still running into Godku, UMV, Green Miniku. Like, you were fighting those guys within part 1, so it was definitely more diverse. And then part 2 ruined everything with just Saiyan Saga being the only team in the game. Again, I'm not there yet. We could see that happen, I assume. Not most likely, but it could happen within part 2 this year. Again, I wouldn't really hold my breath thinking it's going to just 180 the entire game, just like last year did with the Saiyan Saga stuff, but hey, we do not know. And obviously here to glaze the new units, sure, but as well to you know, amplify and glaze the older units. If you look at it here, you know, you see some boys that got their buff, and it is looking quite devious. When you look at Yellow Goku Black, this guy went from a 0, legitimately 0 on release, to a goddamn hero. Maybe his meta is not idealized for where he was within getting this buff, of being, a timer-based meta within that first week of him. Now he's more checked to a degree, not fully checked, but like more checked, has an answer to him within, double red setup you could right now, being one of the best teams in the game, if not the best team in the game, of Broly and Gogeta Blue. The red Broly that also got a unique equip, which also was a dud on release comparably to most units. It's nice to see that these older units getting their buff actually makes something. Again, I hope this LF Zenkai will be a substantial enough buff to kind of warrant usage, but you see Red Diamond Goku was okay enough. You said, this guy here, Final Flash, was okay enough. Purple Cell actually was a better LF Zenkai than most within recent times. So again, I'm hoping this, LF here does actually give a little bit more promise overall. And we don't even know who it is. Maybe at this point they gave us a hint, because I'm recording this like 3 hours before it goes up. Maybe they gave us a real good hint and we can see, and you'll know obviously by a few days from now. But even if it's a failure, I feel like they've done so much successes in this, there's just not really much to worry about. I mean, you still have Nap Vita being relevant, which got a unique equip beforehand. You still make these other units relevant of Broly and TGB. You've done your job. If you do mess up the LF Zenkai, it's like, okay, this is already a 9 out of 10 part 1. Putting it to the lowest standard would be Shallot is a dud, the LF Zenkai is a dud, and that's it. That's all we're gonna get probably. So if those two suck, then it's like this is still a 9 out of 10 part 1, which is easily the best part 1. The meta shifts, I'm not sure if you are a fan of it. I've seen mixed reviews on it. I could say I don't mind it being weekly meta shifts, right? Because the first week is just, here's new units. Okay, they're shifting their entire game from previous no new units. So clearly that's going to make sense. Okay, here's TGB. He's shifting the game to where it's going to be a more attrition state, which still gives you value for Gogeta Blue, because clearly that's a red unit and things can go well for you and you can make things happen. But still, something's shifting from the game's usually ending to where the game is not as ending, as progressively. Then you shift again to Red Broly, and that's where we are now. And guess what? It's going to keep rotating that over and over. I doubt it happens again this week. Maybe Shallot's top 3, maybe he's not. Maybe the Zenkai's top 1, maybe he's top 5, who knows. But it still does give you incentives to actually own the Annie units, which is why I don't actually mind the big shifts in meta. When they do happen within every week-to-week basis here, again, I wouldn't mind it every 2-week meta shift within this game, just because every goddamn week it does feel a little bit fast. This Vegito guy went from really, really strong on the first week of the Annie units, and then at the second week he went to a dud, and now this week he's going back to pretty strong. So it's like boom, 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 like we're upping and losing value stupidly quickly, which again, I don't hate that. It's just, it's jarring because we don't really even see meta shifts happen this quickly during any other time. This is probably the first time we've seen meta shifts go boom, 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 boom. And that's because they actually were valuing the, buffs they were giving to these older units. They were like, okay, let's respect them. Red Broly maybe was peaking barely top 10s on tier list. TGB on release was, if even, top 10, was barely on a top 10 list. So they deserved the buffs they got. They, needed this for themselves and their legacy. But still, every week it is a little bit like the pacing is a little bit crazy there. But you can touch on new units here. I mean, you can look at the banners. Obviously, right now, you'd say Broly banner is better. And that is not a hot take. You look at the drop list here, you look at the lineup, Broly being there again, Paragus, whatever, Chilai, not even fully utilizing Chilai just because there's not even 2 Fusion Warriors running up against, as commonplace, because 13 requires a revival to get the fusion tag. But still, you look at the banner, Android 13, very strong. Nap Vita, obviously less strong, but definitely strong as this part 1 was progressing, and still is a top 10 unit. Dragon Fist, an incredible bench there. And moving on from that, nothing crazy goes on here. Again, Janemba's right there, but the featured units on this banner are actually going to give you a higher investment and incentive to actually summon for Broly. Overall wise, while trying to get Broly, you aren't going to lose out, right? Getting Android 13 is not a bad thing. Nap Vita is not a bad thing. Janemba this season wasn't a bad thing. So you're actually not having the worst time ever. I cannot glaze the Gogeta banner just because, well, it's not the greatest thing ever, unfortunately. But maybe in time it could progress. I mean, I'm not sure how much this could really progress. I mean, shit, Blue UI, he's a year old. Who knows if he gets a buff, bro? Who knows one day if he gets a buff? But definitely sucks. This is just an Ultra banner. I don't know why they're treating Ultras like this still. They know that Legend is damn near the same thing as an Ultra. I mean, I would actually argue Legend is more premium than Ultra, considering what we have of a multi-transforming Legend, and Ultra is literally just basic unit, which is more basic things, and all they have is ink on their other animation comparably. And even then, legend units have ink, so this isn't a more foundational thing of a problem, more so with ultra units than it is for the Annie of the ultra unit. It could have been kinder with the banner and doing more. Obviously, the 450 drops is very nice, right? It was usually 600 for pity. Now it's 450, so it's like, what, 9k less CC you have to summon for, which again, very nice, very generous. That is an Annie, positive. Again, this Annie has more positives than negatives, but again, I just hope they fix ultra stuff where, you feel like you actually earned something on ultra. Here you could actually feel like you got something without pulling Broly. Here you can't feel like you got damn fucking anything. It's just kind of pointless at that point. But still, to my point, continuing on, this Annie, I don't know how it could be a miss moving on within part 1. Again, I doubt anything that happens within this next upcoming week. If there's anything failure, the upcoming week after that will be part 2's beginning. So I'm just hoping that things continue on. Again, these new units are fun. They're cool. I would say multi-transforming Broly is probably the best way to make them. If Broly wasn't multi-transforming in the way he is, and they probably should, make a new way to multi-transform as well within multi-transforming units. But if he wasn't this way specifically, you would be having an older unit be the best unit in the game. I would say Red Broly right now with Unique Equip would be the best unit, and it'd be like a 1 or 2 week thing, but he would be the best unit in the game. Because Green Broly would not be able to check him as much as he does within stopping transformation, within sealing the mains, within blah, 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 not letting that guy just go on a rampage. But because multi-transforming Broly is the way he is built, it actually is a very high incentive to own the character for one, as well as to, well, use him to a proper degree. And I feel as though there is not skill, because there's no skill in this game. I see no skill. It's just understanding, but I don't think understanding is skill. I would say it's much more of a different line there. The understanding of how this guy is meant to be in a fight against himself, in a fight that doesn't have him, and in a fight where he has to stop these more, burster characters. Red Broly is a good burster. TGB's blue card bursts well. Gogeta Blue's blue cards burst well. Blast cards, whatever. These are bursters, right? So having this guy be in a situation where he won't just die within that, because you're kind of preserving the gauge a little bit, but not being so overly protective that you won't transform him. There's a way to use Broly in a more positive for yourself play than a negative, and it's not just this more brain dead, he stopped my combo because he auto transformed. Well, yeah, to a degree, obviously that is brain dead, but what they've done where these units are bursting so fast, it more incentivizes this guy to be a positive than a negative, because inherently multi-transform, multi-stopping combos to a guarantee free hit is negative, right? That's just gonna be toxic. But the way they do it to where this guy feels more positive than not is because he actually incentivizes you to kind of be wary of these bursters that can just put you down real quickly. And he is the only tank in the game right now that really can stop them at full throttle, at least a few times guaranteed. And Dooogote Black's a very good tank, but he's not stopping them as good as Broly can stop them, which is why Broly has such value. And again, the Annie headliners are still the best units. While TGB definitely had that argument within last week, at the end of the day, it is more so going to be, well, TGB would have been number 1 if you have Broly with him, though. If Broly wasn't there, then you probably wouldn't be able to say TGB was number 1 at that time, which people were saying, and people are still saying. But that's the whole point, though. You are still having a positive infliction and positive outlook within the anniversary because you still feel like you need or want the Part 1 units. Every single week that passes, you're thinking, wow, Red Broly got Unique Equip. He's lower stars to me. Well, I want Gogeta Blue to run them together and kind of have that duo potential. Or I got a high star Red Broly. Well, I want Green Broly now so I can run them as the best duo ship in the game because they are the best duo ship in the game. And every week it kind of progresses. Dooogote Black got really strong. Well, I want him with Green Broly to have that protection and, to protect overall team-wise and run him with the Goku Black because I own them both. So let me get Green Broly. As well, you're summoning for Green Broly, you're pulling for Janemba, you're pulling for Napchita, you're pulling for 13. So every time you're having a desire to get these units, again, you're thinking TGB is super strong. I need double reds. I need to pull for UGB. I already have Red Broly, and there's a bait banner right now that actually does exist, so I wouldn't say is the worst thing ever. I'm sure these units won't age like demon gods, but it is definitely not the worst banner ever, and it has 2 top 5 units right on the banner right there. I don't think these other 2 will get buffed within FSG and Kefla, but 2 top 5 units on banner right there. You could argue this banner has overall within the end of Part 1, it could have more value than both Part 1 units banners just because you have the Red Broly there and TGB, as well as from the Legend Broly banner. These are all boost units, right? Now Vegeta, they were on boost, they lost their featured boost, 13's gonna lose boost, Janem's gonna lose boost. So you could argue this banner is better by the end of it, but in the current state of it, these banners are better. So it's actually like a niche situation, a nice situation. Again, I can't name much negative without this, kind of stupidity in me flowing through, so I can't even force it at this point, because if I just try to force a negative, it just wouldn't make any sense. I just think this part 1 is perfect. All I can see, unfortunately, within the little bit of half full, half empty glass situation in my brain, is that this might just start being too high expectation. Like, think of it like this: part 2 happens, and where are we going to go from here? Are we going to get another LF plat, another, we start getting 1% plats, I guess. Are we going to get ultra plat? Are we going to get all these things again? We're going to rinse and repeat. LF equip, LF equip, LF Zenkai within the dead week. So we're going to do an LF equip, a 1% plat and a Zenkai 1%, and then another, ultra plat, and then part 3 begins. Are we going to do that again? Or is part 2 going to be a letdown where it's more of a cooldown time within older unit buffs? And I don't think I'd mind that. It's just, I think part 1 set up bar a little bit higher than they even expected, and I think the expectation for part 2 is going to be a little bit higher than probably what they're willing to throw out for us. So we will see, but again, I'm here to be glad with part 1. I hope they do even more, and I didn't mention it, but God Vegeta, if Green Broly didn't exist, God Vegeta would deadass be top 10. The Zenkai God Vegeta, he'd be deadass top 10. Like, that guy's really strong. It's just, again, you get a checky situation. Like, you'll see if Green Broly does get a fall off and kind of gets hurt by some bullshit, which is just inevitability, you'll see that God Vegeta actually fry with UGB and whoever else is that third Nap Vegeta, whatever the fuck they do as a new purple or whatever the fuck. But all positives here, man. Damn near. Not everything's perfect. Clearly, there's some hiccups and stuff, but they're so small and minute, they don't really even exist in my mind. It's fun to see these new units be well. It's fun to see them be the best units still. I hope part 2 doesn't just, remove everybody from the game, excluding the part 1 units and the part 1 buffs. I hope it actually incentivizes a little bit older units. Again, I mentioned here, people still are talking about Buhan. They're still talking about Sword of Hope Trunks. These units are not new. They're still talking about Vegito. I hope units from around their era, Legend Piccolo, Mini Vegeta, some Diamond units, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, FSG, units that are in that little older span, or just, tier boosted units, get a similar discussion vibe. This guy right here, like, I hope these units get a similar discussion vibe to the units that are being discussed right now, within tier boosting, within buffing for their teams, and etc, etc, etc. If that happens, part 2 will be a success. It'll be the same exact notion, same exact premise. It'll be great. I don't know if it will, but all I know is, again, part 1 is. Glad it is. Let me know what you think of part 1. Finally, a praise video, not a rant. I'll see you in the next one.